Hello learners, in this video we are going to discuss about the first chapter of your textbook, that is Introduction to Object-Oriented Programming concept. In this chapter we will learn the basic concept of Java programming. At the end of this chapter we should be able to write small meaningful program using Java computer programming language. We will also go through the exercises at the end of this chapter. You are also encouraged to go through your textbook along with this video. Now, whenever we write a Java program to perform any task, we always create object. Object represent the real world physical entities which we see in day-to-day life, and class is the blueprint or prototype or skeleton of an object. Now, when we will call a programming language an object-oriented programming language, whenever a computer programming language consists four principles, that is abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism. If a computer programming language possesses these four properties or principles, then we will call it as a object-oriented programming language. Now I have written the definitions, or we can say the explanation in a simple word in the slide. We will understand it in a better way using this example. Don't overwhelm by the programming. I will explain in a step-by-step manner how we can write a Java program. But for the time being, let's consider this is a class with the name box. It is having three variables declared inside it and two functions, namely input function and calculate volume function. This is the input function and this is the calculate volume function. Now this is another one class where I have created an object. This is how an object can be created. Now again I am repeating, don't go into the details or don't be bogged down by the programming statements which were written here. I will explain it in a step-by-step manner. Here B1 is the created object. Now as you can see, whenever B1 is created, we have used the name of this class. So B1 will have the properties which belongs to this box class. That means B1 will have these three variables and these two functions in it. So as you can see, using this input function, I have put three values inside this B1 object. So now B1 has the length equal to 2.5, whichever unit it may be, height equal to 4.5 and width equal to 3.7. So if we compare this B1 box along with a physical box, then it resembles the physical real world box, as physical real world box also possesses three dimensions, that is length, height and width. So all in all, this B1 representing a physical real world object into this program. Now this is how abstraction is achieved in programming, computer programming. We will create a replica or a representation of a physical world object into our program, and abstraction is achieved in that way. Here B1 representing a real world object. Now again we can see here this class box consists variables along with these functions, and in another way we can say that these variables and these functions are put inside this wrapper, and putting together variables and functions into a single unit is called encapsulation. So here this box class encapsulated these variables and these methods or functions. This is how encapsulation is achieved. Now to explain the inheritance principle of object-oriented programming language, let's consider that we want to create another class called metal box from the already existing box. Now the metal box will have all the properties of the box along with a new variable, that is type of metal, and another new variable cost we want to add with this metal box class. Also we want to add two more methods or functions into this metal box class. The name of these functions are store value and show value. So the whole process is that we want to create a new box named metal box from this already existing box class. Inheritance will do, or inheritance will copy or inherits all the properties which exist in the box class. So this after this metal box class is created, it will contains all the properties of the box class. Let's see again the box class. These are the properties of box class. So all these properties will be there in the metal box along with these new properties. So whenever a metal box object will be created like this one, here we have created one metal box object, it will contain all the properties of this box class along with these new properties of metal box. So as you can see, whenever we are using this store value function, we are passing these values. So this is length, height and width. This is the cost of this box, and this is the type of the metal. These two values, this cost and the type of metal, these two values were not there in the box class. As you can see here, this box class only contains length, height and width, but the metal box object contains length, height, width, cost and type of metal. These values, these 5 values. So Here we have created a new class, a metal box, from an already existing class box using the inheritance property. Now the inheritance can be done using this extends keyword or reserved word. What a reserved word is will come later steps. So now see pictorially how can we represent inheritance. Here the metal box class is the one which we have created from the box class through inheritance. Now the box class can also be called as a base class, and the metal box can be called as a derived class. Also it is known as child class, and this one as parent class. So Java possesses this inheritance property. Now let's come into the next principle, that is polymorphism. Now suppose we have declared a class named addition. This addition class contains this add function. Now again I am repeating how these functions are written. What does this void word means? I will come to all these details in later steps, but for the time being let's understand the concept polymorphism and how it can be achieved. This add functions has been defined 3 times here with different, I'll say these are the parameters. So here the parameters, as you can see, the parameters of this add function are integer. Here it is double and here it is string. So a same functions are defined thrice inside a same class. Now if we don't look at into the addition class, say this is not visible to us, only this portion is visible to us. Now if we don't look at this addition class, here we have created an object of this addition class, but we don't know what is written inside this addition class. Suppose now whenever we are calling the add function with the integer value, this function will be executed and the result will be displayed. So after calling this function or after writing this line of program statement, we'll see a added value of 7 will be displayed onto the computer screen. Whenever we'll call the add function with these 2 double values, we'll see a result with the double values will come. By saying the double value, I want to mean a decimal value or a value with decimal point. Also if you can see this add function is called with 2 string values. So if we write this function or when our computer will execute this line, a output with send Claret School in a single line will come, which indicates this add function adds 2 string as well. So if we don't see the details, or if these details are not known to us and we are able to see only this portion, what we can understand from this is that this add function do different things depending upon what parameter is passed to it or what parameters are passed to it. Whenever we are passing to integers, it is adding to integers value. Whenever we are passing decimal values into this add function, it is doing addition up to decimal values. And if we are passing to string values, then it will add to string values. So single function, but it is doing multiple work. This is what polymorphism is. Let's again go to the description what I have written about this property. See, polymorphism, through it one interface do different things. As we have seen that this add function does different things depending upon what input is being passed to it. So this is how polymorphism is achieved in Java. There are two techniques through which polymorphism is achieved. One is function overloading and one is function overriding. Whatever the example I have shown you, here it is, it is function overloading. How function overloading is done, I will come into the later slides. Whenever I will go into the details of polymorphism, then I will explain everything. But for the timing, you can see, if we declare one single function or a function with the same name more than once in the same class, then it can be called a function overloading, and through function overloading we can achieve polymorphism. Now we have also seen what inheritance is mean. It is the process through which one object acquires the properties of another object. We have seen that we have created a new class from an already existing class, which borrows the properties of already existing class into the new class. We have seen that through one example. Also, we have seen the encapsulation. In encapsulation, both code and data are put into a single unit named class. Also, we have seen the example of it. This is the example where the box class contains both variables and the code in terms of methods into a single unit named the box, which is a class. This is how the encapsulation is achieved. And also the abstraction, where we have created an object which represents or resembles the physical object into the program. This is how abstraction is achieved. So as Java computer program consists of all these principles, so it is said an object-oriented programming language. Now, so what is the difference between an object and a class? See, a class is a passive entity, or it is just the structure of an object. A class defines what an object will consist, but object is a active entity. What does it mean by active entity is that for object, memory or main memory or computer RAM memory will be allocated for it. How much memory will be allocated for object? That is calculated by Java using an operator called new. This operator will calculate how much memory will be required for an object. Here in this example, A is an object. So this new operator will calculate how much memory will be required, and that amount of memory will be reserved into the computer main memory, which is RAM. Whenever this happens, we say the entity for which memory has been reserved into the computer main memory, it is an active entity. So In that sense, object is an active entity. Now, object is an instance of a class, and the class is, I have already said that class is the blueprint or prototype or the skeletal structure of an object. And now let's go deep into the Java program. Now Java program is basically consists of tokens, which is the smallest valid part of a Java program. Now token can be of 5 types: reserved word or keyword. Now let me say a few words about this reserved word or keyword. Reserved word or keyword are those which are already defined inside Java, or Java knows the meaning of this word, such as this class, double, int. All these are words known as reserved word or keyword, and the meaning of this word are known to Java. Now identifiers. Identifiers are those entities which we use for variables, for class name, and there are certain rules to form the identifiers. We'll discuss about these rules a few slides after. Now, literals or constants are those entities which does not change its value throughout the execution of the program, such as 2, 5, 9, 7.5. These are the literals or constants we see in Java computer program. Operator are those which perform some operations such as plus, minus, multiplication, division, etc. Separator are those things which separate or form a block inside a Java computer program. As you can see, the first bracket or these curly brackets are known as separator. All these things we have already used or seen in the previous example. If I go through the previous example, you can see I have used this separator here. I have used this separator first bracket here. So a Java program is basically consists of tokens, which are the smallest valid part of a computer program. Now, whenever we declare a variable, data types must be there. A data type defines the set of possible value that a variable may have or can hold. For example, if we say double x into a program, here x is a variable and its data type is double, as you can see here. It tells us that x is a variable of data type double, and it will store or hold the values with decimal point. Also, it must be remembered that every data type or every variable of a certain data type has a minimum value and a maximum value. Beyond this limit or beyond these two extreme point or these two minimum and maximum values, beyond these values, a particular type of variable or a variable with particular data type cannot hold any value beyond this maximum or minimum value limit. For example, the double value has this limit. So if we assign a value which is greater than this value into x, that will create a programming error. Also, if we assign a lesser value than this one, that is minus 1.7 into 10 to the power minus 308, if we want to assign lesser value than this into x, that will also create an error. Now, data types can be of two types: primitive data type and non-primitive data type. Primitive data type are those which are fundamental. There are 8 types of primitive data types defined inside Java. It is int, long, short, byte, float, double, and boolean character. Non-primitive data types are actually built upon this primitive data type, or it is built using the combination of primitive data type. Some example of primitive data types are arrays, strings, etc. Array and string will be discussed with example in the later chapters. These are some advanced topics. So for the time being, we will remember the names, that is array and string are non-primitive data types. Now, as I have already said, that a variable must have a data type. Now, naturally comes the questions, what is a variable? A variable in a computer program is used to hold some value. What type of value it can hold, that depends upon its data type, which I have already discussed. If I declare an integer variable, it will able to hold integer values. If I declare a character variable, it will be able to hold the character values. If I declare a double variable, it will be able to hold double values. Now, as I declare or as I say something about variables, constants are just another side of these variables. Constants are those entities into a computer program which does not change its value throughout the execution of the program. Constants, also known as literals. How many types of constants are available in a computer program? Those many types of variables are available into it. So if for example 8 types of variables are available in a computer program, 8 types of constant must be available into it. So as I have said, see, the primitive types can be of 8 different types. So primitive variables can be also of 8 types, and in the same way there are 8 types of primitive value constants are also there in Java. Now, for the sake of doing some example, we'll learn how to take input in a computer Java program. For the time being, you should remember that a Java program can take input using scanner class. A scanner class is defined inside util package. Now, I have already said some words which are not already defined in this video, but to perform some operations using Java computer program, we have to use this. So better we'll learn how to use this and we'll explain it in later parts. Now let's take an example with a real program. in this program, as you can see, I have imported the content of the util package into this program. The operation of import can be done using this import keyword, and it can be written like this. Now, as I have said, the scanner class belongs to this util package. So as I have imported the util package here into my program, so automatically scanner class imported into my program. Now I have created the object of this scanner class here. First, I have taken a character input from keyboard and stored into a variable whose name is ch. As you can see, I have declared a character variable also. Same way, I have taken an integer input and a double input, and for your sake of convenience, after taking the input, I am also displaying it. So if I run the program, let's see what happened. Yes, now this program is asking me to input a character. Let's say I am typing T, and after I press it, so the computer program takes this input T inside it, and it is displaying the result, the value which I have entered. Now it is asking me to enter a number, say 45. So whenever I input it, it is taking the input and then displaying whatever value it has taken as input. Now again it is asking for a decimal value, say 67.98. so yes, this is displaying the value. So in this program, I have input one character, one integer and one double value, and displayed those values which were inputted through keyboard. And this is the program through which I have done it. So you are encouraged to do this programming into your computer if it is available. If it is not a problem, you can always do it in your exercise book. For those who are having the personal computer, I want to mention here that I am using a software named Dr. Java, which is freely available. Here it is, Dr. Java, which is freely available in internet. You can go through the Google to find it. Also, please read the system requirement or the Java runtime environment requirement before installing the Dr. Java. It requires a specific version of Java runtime environment or JRE to be installed into your computer system. So this is a very simple and easy to use Java programming interface where you can write this exemplar program and run it to test the concepts. Okay, let's go back to the slideshow. So we have learned how to take input from keyboard using scanner class. Now let's discuss about decision making. Now why decision making is required is that during the execution of the program, we want to perform the task in a certain sequence, and to generate that sequence we need to take some decisions. Decision can be taken using some of the reserved word or keyword which I have listed into this slide. In the next example, which is here, I have demonstrated one of the keyword which I have listed here, how it can be used in a computer program. Here also I have used the scanner class to take input into two variables a and b, and here I have compared these two values to check whether which one is greater or they are equal to each other, and displayed a message according to that. So this is how we can take decision, and according to that we can perform certain work. Let's take an example. Suppose A contains 10 and B contains 20. A contains 10 and B contains 20. So if we compare these two values here, so A contains 10 and B contains 20. So A greater than B, it comes out to be false because A is 10 and B is 20. So A greater than B, it is false. As it is false, computer will jump into this section to check whether B is greater than A, and what it comes out to be is true. B is indeed greater than A, as B is 20 and A is 10. So whenever this becomes true, so the corresponding action with this decision get executed, and the message B is greater than A will be displayed into computer screen. And as soon as this message displayed, the rest portion of this decision making structure will be skipped. So A and B are equal will not be displayed into the screen. So among these three available options, only the option which belongs to the true decision will be executed. This is how decision making mechanism works in Java. In the later section, I'll discuss the nested if else and the switch structure decision making syntaxes. Now we have learned a little bit of Java program. So to grasp all the concept, please go through this homework and write the program into your exercise book. Those who are having the computer, please write the program and execute it in your computer. And if you are not having the computer, please go through the steps into your textbook and imagine that it is being executed by a computer, and perform each and every step the way computer does into your exercise book. Please do this homework as it is related to the portion which we have learned. Also, you are encouraged to go through your textbook again and again, because while you will do the question answer part at the end of this chapter, you have to write the definitions whichever is there in your textbook only. Thank you. Happy learning.